Welcome back to A Bus and Beyond. Now, 2 years ago, pretty much the day, I did a video about how much our California Ocean cost us to own. And I think it went down really well. People were really interested and people were quite surprised actually at how little it actually costs to own a California. Now, I completely understand that that is kind of realised money at the end of your ownership. That money is still locked up whilst you are owning the vehicle, but it was quite surprising compared to a normal vehicle actually how much the California does cost to own. So we recently sold our California Beach and I thought it'd be a good idea to get all the details together, all the financial, all the numbers and all that kind of stuff together to run through another video about how much our California Beach cost us to own. So let's get into it and look at the numbers. Now, if you're not interested in the actual breakdown of how much everything cost us throughout the ownership, then just skip to the end and I'm sure you'll find out exactly how much it cost. But yeah, it's interesting actually. It's quite interesting because it's quite different to the California Ocean. The California Ocean, when we owned that, we were in a very different world. There was not, there were no pandemics, there was no war going on. Yeah, it was before all that. So yeah, this one's a little bit different and values are very, very different. It's also quite interesting. If you look back at our California Ocean video, we bought that Ocean with discount for £48,000. Now that's 6 years ago, but 48 grand. Now they're 70, 80, some of them are even 90 grand used, which is just crazy. That's gone up very, very quickly, hasn't it? So right, let's get into it. Let's have a look at our California Beach. So I've run through all the figures and had a look at how much our California Beach costs to buy in the first place. We bought a VW California T6.1 beach camper. We added quite a few options actually to this. The major big ticket items were things like the heater, that was about 2 grand, and what was the other thing? Things like LED headlights, they were about £1,000 as well. So we added quite a few options. The base price of a California Beach at the time we bought it was £53,562, including tax. All these prices include the tax. Otherwise it gets a bit complicated. But yeah, £53,562. Now we put a total of £6,804 worth of options on, which if you add those two together, that gives you £60,366. Now interestingly, even then, although the prices have gone up quite a bit, we actually got a fairly hefty discount, which is still possible today, I believe. I think discounts are always there on Californias, which always amazes me actually, because they can't make them quick enough. So I'm surprised there's even discounts available. But yeah, we got a whopping £7,452 discount, which pretty much meant that we got the options for free, essentially, plus a little bit. So yeah, £7,452 discount, which brings the price down of our Beach down to £52,914. Now there's a few other things to add on there. They were doing a deal at the time where if you took out finance, you got 2 services for £99, so we took that offer. If I add delivery into it and the first rate VED, which is vehicle excise duty, road tax essentially, you have to add another £1,200 onto that price. So that gives us £54,125. That's the total price of the vehicle. If we wanted to buy that car cash and walk away, that's how much it would have cost. £54,125. So I completely get that that is not a cheap vehicle. Obviously, it's a hell of a lot of money for anyone. Now, we do not have £54,000 lying around, funnily enough. Despite what most people think YouTubers earn, we do not have £54,000 lying around. So we chose to finance the Beach. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of what different options there are with regards to finance, because I think you pretty much have to be a financial advisor to actually discuss those, but we chose to go down the route of PCP. A little quick oversight onto what PCP finance is. It's personal contract plan. You basically put a deposit down on the vehicle then pay so many monthly payments, and then you have an optional final payment at the end. You can either pay that optional final payment and you own the vehicle, you can refinance that final payment, or you can hand the car back. Now, when we bought the California Beach, our viewers were not aware at the time that we had a crafter also on order. So we knew that we were going to need a fair bit of cash for the crafter. So we didn't want to put a huge deposit down. We wanted that cash in the bank. So we actually only put £1,000 deposit down on the Beach. That left cash in the bank for us to do the crafter, but also at the time you got an extra £600 from Volkswagen if you took out finance. So in total there was a £1,600 deposit put in. That leaves £52,525 left to finance, and we chose to do that over a 4-year deal. I think that actually might be the maximum you can do with Volkswagen. It certainly was at the time when we bought the vehicle. But what that leaves you is 47 months, and then you have a final payment, like I said. So our monthly figure was £649.50. Let's round that up to £650 per month. And then if we chose to own the vehicle at the end of the 4 years, we would have to pay £26,337. Now, I do apologise, there's obviously tons of figures being thrown at you here. That's why they're all up on the screen, so hopefully you can follow along. But yeah, so £650 per month is what it was costing us to drive around in our California Beach. Now, if you were to do the full repayment plan on that PCP, you'd pay 47 months at £650. That would cost you, over the whole 4 years, £30,550. And then, as we discussed, there's an optional final payment at the end of £26,337. If you add the £1,600 deposit to that, and that gives you £58,487. Now, it's actually minus the £600 because that was actually from VW, so that's not from us. But so it's about 58 grand would be the actual cost to finance the vehicle in total if you paid all that off. Now, that's quite interesting because the interest on that, it seems so low now compared to what interest rates are like at the moment. I can't remember what the exact interest rate was, but you're essentially paying £4 grand interest over on a £55,000 vehicle. That's pretty low. So yeah, times have changed. Interest rates are a lot higher, I'm afraid, now. As you well know, we did not keep it for the 4 years. We kept it for a year and a half, essentially. So we actually only made 16 payments of that £650. So we actually owned it for about 17 months, I think it was. So let's work out actually how much we ended up paying for the vehicle. So we paid a £1,000 deposit. The other £600, like we spoke about, was from VW. 16 months of £650. That brings us to 11,400 in total with the £1,000 deposit. So for the year and a half that we owned it, we paid £11,400 to basically rent the Beach, I suppose. And then when it came to actually selling the vehicle, that's where the money was realised back to us, which is quite nice. We sold the Beach back in January for £57,000. That's how much we sold it to Volkswagen in Poole for. They paid us £57,000. Now, we obviously had finance to clear on that. The finance payment that we had to pay back to the finance company was £43,544. So that left us in our pockets £13,455. You can see where this is going, can't you? Quite interesting. £13,455 in our back pocket, minus the £11,400 that we paid over the 17 months to own it, 16 months, however long it was, 17 months. That gave us £2,055 profit. So that's right, actually to own our California Beach, it actually paid us. That's very, very different to the California Ocean. The California Ocean was really cheap to own, really cheap, but we did pay to own it, whereas the Beach has been the opposite. Now, that's obviously a sign of the times. That's how things have been. We bought it, we actually ordered it during the pandemic. There was tons of uncertainty. No one knew what was going on in the world, so it was obviously a bit of a risk. Now, fast forward 18 months and things are very, very different. because of supply and demand, it means that you can't get these vehicles quickly enough, so that drives the prices up of used vehicles. That allowed us to sell it back to VW for that decent amount of £57,000. Now they incidentally actually put it on their website for 62, so we probably could have done even better if we'd sold it privately, but we just wanted the ease of using a dealer. Now that £2,000 profit does not include a few things that we put on it. We put those awesome wheels, tyres and suspension on, so that was a few £1,000. That's probably about £3,000 I think in total. There's a solar panel put on of £500, vehicle excise duty of another year. That I can't remember how much that is. I think that was about, I want to say 270, but I'm not entirely sure. I cannot remember how much it is for road tax for a year. But so yeah, there's about £4,000 worth of stuff put on the vehicle, but I'm not entirely sure whether that necessarily added value to the vehicle or not. Some people liked the look and like a modified van, liked how it had bigger wheels and sat low. I think that was kind of shown by the fact that it was sold within a week at VW, but then other people really like a standard van, so I'm not sure whether that added value or not. Also, let us know in the comments below, do you think the values are set to stay like that? Or surely they've got to come down, haven't they? He says. I'm just not sure really, but yeah, it certainly shows at the minute that values are strong of California's. They're not a bad place to put your money if you want a camper van. So let us know in the comments below, have you found this interesting? Did you realise that California's can be relatively inexpensive vehicles to own? I completely get, obviously £650 per month is not cheap, but if you take that overall cost at the end when you've sold the vehicle, it's not a bad way to get into camper van ownership. What other vehicles out there have that fantastic lack of depreciation? I know we're in very strange times at the minute, and there are a lot of vehicles that if you get in there early with a new product, you know, I've seen Range Rovers selling online, used ones, the brand new Range Rovers for 150, 160,000 pounds, and they're only 100 grand new, which is just absolutely crazy. Who is that impatient to spend that much money over list price? I have no idea. But I hope that's been useful. If anything, it's also just nice to be a little bit nosy in it into what people have paid for their camper van. But yeah, please like the video if you found it useful, and also it really helps us out if you subscribe, so please do consider subscribing. That really helps us out. And if you know anyone out there that's interested in buying a camper van or California or anything like that, please share the video with them as well, because they may find this useful. Thank you so much for watching, and we shall see you in the next video. Cheers.